Here comes the second Eastern European Peace Corps story tonight. I thought after last time I'd talk about something that I was good at, and I became good at train riding. It's not magic, you're not born with it, but I learned riding trains. I've always liked going places, and anytime I feel I'm at the edge of town, here goes my face starting to smile. And I find that I can really maximize that by doing a little planning ahead of time. So in Ukraine, I always went to get bus and train tickets a couple days ahead of time. I like knowing that it's set. And on trains especially, it's a real asset because on trains, if you're riding at night, which was my usual thing, my usual train ride was to go from my town up to Kyiv, and it was getting on at midnight and getting off at 6 in the morning. So at midnight, the train's going to be dark. And trains are like this, a padded bench here, and then a whole row more, and then an upper berth and one on each side. And there was a rolled up mattress for each, and a big heavy pillow, and a nice packet of sheets, and a blanket. And it's much easier to arrange this at midnight when the car is dark if you've got this level instead of this level, and there's a lot less standing on the person in this level who's been asleep for a while. One night, to my surprise, when I got in, my bunk wasn't empty as you would have expected it to be, and this bunch of blankets kind of half rose up, and a woman said, "Spitje tam," meaning sleep over there, and she pointed to some less desirable berths which were in a single file in the corridor. There wasn't much place to put your stuff. Now this was interesting in several ways, and then she added, "Ya babushka," meaning I'm a grandma. And I thought, well, okay, so am I, but I didn't think that meant that you had a license to go around sleeping anywhere. And the second thing that caught my attention was that she used the imperative form of the verb sleep, and you hardly ever hear that. But ordinarily, planning ahead made these train rides slick. So that was my usual train ride. And a Peace Corps motto is, it's not going to be what you expect. So sure enough. My longest trip was from Lviv, which is up near Poland, down through the steppe and down to Simferopol in Crimea. And both these were Peace Corps events down here. This was about 3 months before I finished. And Peace Corps takes finishing kind of seriously. You have a conference about how to finish up your project and then how to be home when you get home. So that was good. Now at the other end where I started in Lviv, I had gone to help another volunteer with the project, and that happens all the time. People ask for somebody to come help with the project, and everybody loves doing that. Now this project, as a matter of fact, didn't pan out, but that's another story. But I got onto the train in Lviv something like 9 o'clock one morning, and was going to get off 10-something the next morning down in Simferopol. And into this compartment for 4 people, this sort of pod. When I got on, it was very neat. There was a father making out the bed, although it was morning, and ordinarily daytimes you just all sat side by side because you can't sit straight up in the upper bunk. So until somebody went to bed, you all sat there. There was a father making up the bed for I think his son was about 8 years old, and the father was putting him on, and 23 hours later, this little boy's mother was going to take him off. And the other 3 of us were going to be on for the whole trip, and we all kind of liked that. We were going to be fellow travelers from this end to that end. Anytime you get onto a train, the first thing you want to do is check at the entry. There's going to be a schedule that tells you where or what time a train arrives at any station and what time it leaves. And this is crucial, especially for me coming into my town, Alexandria. It was always a 2-minute stop, so you did want to be alert, because if you didn't get off at the appropriate place, it meant you'd get off at some inappropriate place further on. But another reason to look at that schedule is that most stops were 2 minutes, but on a long trip like this, there'd be some 20-minute stops at bigger towns, and you'd watch for those because then it would be food vendors alongside the tracks. And of course, you'd bring food for a trip, and some of the food was lovely and serious, and still everybody looked forward to something hot. And sure enough, we had a daytime stop, and at our door, a 20-minute stop, and at our door there was a woman selling corn on the cob, and she had these husked cobs, and she had salt to sprinkle on it. And I think we all stood there kind of grinning like chipmunks, and the kernels were flying, and then at the signal we got back into our car. I always thought that train riding was chummy. On the buses, it seemed that most of us kind of kept to ourselves and scowled all the time. But on the train, because you're sitting side by side and across, it was a conversation pit in the nicest sense of the word, and probably the best place to talk with strangers. And because this might be my stop, I think I'll get off before who knows where we'll end up. Thank you.